It is my honor to introduce Miss Stacy Pederson.
How are you? Yeah, you having a good morning? And the lunch looks amazing, not gonna lie. Smells good. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Wow, it's been a year. How many saw me virtually last year? Okay, well, that's disappointing. So I'm going to share a little bit about that, why that's disappointing. No, I'm glad you're here. I'm so happy to be here in person. For those of you who have no idea who I am, just a little bit about myself. I am the mother of several amazing children who I love so much when they're not with me. And probably the thing that I am the most known for that I will share with you today, and some of you will be hearing a repeat, is that I'm a little bit known for almost dying a bunch. And I don't recommend it, like don't go out and do it. And you do learn a lot about life when you almost die. So one of the very first things that I learned is that people say that laughter is the best medicine. How many of you have heard that before? Yes, yes. And I am here to tell you firsthand that it's not. Morphine is. Okay. Don't laugh, and I have been on morphine. I can tell you there is no comparison whatsoever. So life tip number one, should you find yourself in the hospital, take the drugs, not a joke. So there you go. A lot of us don't always just soar through. Let's see if Stacy can make this work. I don't know. I check out anyone. A lot of us don't just soar through life. I don't know about you, but I'm a little more awkward than that. And especially this past year. And so I'm gonna try it one more time. And it's not gonna work. Okay, so this is what happened. I was supposed to be here a year ago in person. And I'm going to share my story a little later about, the illness that I had and all that. And on September 13th, I started not feeling good. And within 2 hours, I was in the hospital, septic. And then I had major surgery. And I would show you the scar, but two reasons I won't. One, you just ate. And the second is it's not that kind of show where it is. So no one's going to be seeing it. But I found myself having major surgery. And so all my keynote speaker friends were like, Stacy, you can do this virtually. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I do remember that I did speak to you virtually, but I don't remember a thing about it. I was so drunk. I had a pick line. I don't know. I just know I did it. So some of today, for some of you, you're gonna be like, I heard that before. And I'm gonna pretend, be like, I know you heard that before. New to me, but not new to you. So hopefully it will still have some value for you today. So you just do I say
Just
oh, I feel so rude.
nah.
Oh, that's kind of fun though. That's so I've never been to meeting of all. Okay. So I'm going to start today, and I want to ask you this question. How many of you genuinely love your life? Liar, liar, liar. No, I say your Facebook post. No. No, a lot of us, not necessarily. So I'm going to ask you this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how many of you have experienced a lot of joy over the last 3 months? How much? Okay, who's like a 7 to 10? Okay, good. Okay, these are the people that I don't hang out with. in more like a 4 to 6 range. Yeah, and a lot of you aren't participating, I understand. I'm an introvert too. So, and then some of you, you do not have to raise your hand, but some of you, how many, if you're willing, have experienced less, like 0, 1, 2. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. There are times in our lives where that is a real thing. That's just part of life, right? And so, I'm going to ask you this next question. Can I just do that?
Yeah.
Like armpit? I'm gonna you guys can see a lot of my armpit today. How much on a scale of 1 to 10 of you not experiencing joy has been due to stress?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lot. Yeah, okay. Last question. How much of what you were worried about actually came true? Okay, so on that question, how many of you were like, all of it? Everything I worried about came true. Yes, and I saw you were, yes. Okay, how many of you were like, half? Okay, how many of you were less than half of what you were worried about actually came true? Okay, so this is what I really challenge you with, is that a lot of times the stress and the things that we worry about in life aren't just bad for us physically, but they are robbing us of our joy of living. So today my hope is to help not just give you some tips on improving your overall quality of life, but also to get some of your joy back. Who's ready to get some joy back? Yeah. Okay, so before we start, I am going to challenge you with this. You know how speakers come up and like, you guys have a wonderful 2 days of programming, and you're going to go home and you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change the world. I'm going to change everything I'm doing. Any feeling that? Like you got notes, you got like a list. And then you get home and you trip over the shoes at home and the house is a mess and, it falls apart. And a year later, nothing's changed. So this is how I want to prevent that. I am going to ask you with what I am sharing, or maybe even the whole event, is to just pick one thing. You probably know everything I'm going to share, but my challenge to you is, are you doing it? Just pick one thing and implement it. You're going to actually do it. And you might say, well, what's that going to do? My life is such a mess. And I love this phrase that I came up with, and I use it against my children all the time. Anything is something, and something is better than nothing. Because they're like, well, what's the point of that? Anything is something, and yeah, so how many of you, peer pressure, are willing to pick one thing for today's talk and actually do it? I'm changing 4 people's lives today. I feel so good. I feel so good. All right, are you ready to hear the very first thing that can improve your overall quality of life and help you be happier and get some joy? Okay. It is relationships. Now, kind of ironic, because if you think of the thing that makes you the most miserable, it's other people. Right? Am I correct? But the studies show over and over again that in life, that the things that matter the most to us is the people that are in it, right? The people right in front of us that we love. And even some of you, the relationships that you maybe have made through this event over the last several years that are meaningful to you, or hopefully will today. Relationships can really change everything for you so that you don't feel alone. And I'll be honest, the relationship that I value the most in my life is that of being a mom. But I'm not very good at it, being honest. And it was a shock to me. It really did, because back when you were young and you knew everything and you knew how to parent everybody else's kids, I thought that when I grew up I was going to be an amazing mom. I really did. I thought I would gather the children and be on the table at night in their homemade clothing, and we would have homemade dinner and homemade bread. with homemade butter from the cow that I know cow that. And then I thought I'd be one of those cool homeschool moms that teaches their kids math lessons in the grocery store. And I can tell you, the only math lessons my kids have ever heard in the grocery store is 3. That's it. That's it. I did try with the first child. You know, how many of you in here are parents? Yeah, you know how you tried with the first one? I did try with the first one, and I was excited. I wanted to do all the things that new moms do. One of them was even just store parking. Do you guys have that? Yes, maybe a couple places. For those of you who don't know what store parking is, it is a special parking spot at the front of a store for an expectant mother. And I gotta be honest, I have all these kids, so I'm a bit jaded now, because I will see a young woman pull up into the parking space and get out and lumber over to the front of this store. I'm so exhausted. I'm 6 weeks pregnant, and I feel like rolling the car window down, going, enjoy it while you can, sister. Because the moment you got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a baby, and this thing pushed in a cart full of groceries, you can forget it, because you're parking way in the back. Then I was nervous about labor. Any of you moms remember that? I would go to the older moms. What's labor like? And they all gave me the same answer. They all said, "Oh, Stacy, once you put that baby in your arms, it will all be worth it." And then I had my daughter, and I was like, "You are a bunch of liars." So now, when I see someone pregnant for the first time, I feel like it's my duty. It's my gut-wrenching obligation to tell her the truth. It is the most hideous, excruciating, unbearable pain. And the moment you think you can't take it anymore, you have your second contraction. And, teenagers, how many of you have teenagers at home? Isn't it so nice to be here? I'm sorry that we don't have alcohol at the table for you right now. Teenagers are hard. They're hard. I'm gonna be honest. I miss when my kids were little. Because when I had little kids, it's like I brought little puppies home from the hospital. You know, because they would cry when I left, and they were so happy to see me. And then they became teenagers, and it's like I went from a whole household full of puppies to an entire household full of cats. That's what it felt like. And one of the things that cracks me up about teenagers the most is they use their age as the sole logic to be allowed to do anything. What do you mean I'm 16? Like, I would love to use that in real life. I would love to just walk into my boss's office one day and go, "What do you mean I can't have a raise? I'm 49. I am an empty nester now, and thank you. Are you hearing that? You know.
Grandbaby's died.
You have grandbabies.
They're fine now.
Oh, that's good to hear.
But then they gotta leave.
You get to kick them out at 8 when they get mouthy. Yeah, okay, yeah. I do miss having the kids, but I am happy they're gone, and not probably for the reason you think. I feel bad for younger moms these days. How many younger kids at home? Yeah, okay, see, I won't look at you, because I never sit in the front row because I'm scared of that. So I'll avoid eye contact, but I'm gonna reach out and pet you the whole time. I feel bad for younger moms. I do, because I don't, the pressure they're under with social media, I don't think I could do it. I will literally see a reel on Instagram like this. "Hi, it's Whitney. Just getting a quick update. I'm 6 weeks postpartum, and I'm just 3 pounds shy of my pre-pregnancy weight." And I would have to get on there and be like, "Hey, it's Stacy. Giving a quick update. grade. It's been 20 years and 9 months, and I'm just 3 pounds shy of my full-term 9-pound, 3-ounce baby, pregnancy baby. I will say though, some of you moms do have some things easier. One of them is school snacks. You know, we're talking about health, talking about nutrition, right? Everything has to be prepackaged now. Oh, yeah, I heard that. Yeah, okay. So anybody my age knows that back in our day, when we volunteered to bring the school snack, we had to get into our minivan, drive to the school, sign up on a sheet, go home into our dirty kitchen and throw down some wheat and some dairy and some gluten and some peanut dust and roll it out on the kitchen counter with some spit and eyelash hair. Then we put it in our dirty oven, pulled it out on a non-recyclable BPA-filled plastic plate, wrapped it in saran wrap, drove it to the school, and fed it to your children. And now people are like, what's wrong with millennials and Gen Z? And I'm like, I might have something to do with that. But so there are relationships that we value. And here is the biggest lesson that I've learned, especially about being a parent, but it does go in other avenues of life, is that back before I almost died, I used to say things like this. I have to get up. I have to get myself ready for work. I have to get the kids up. I have to get their breakfast made. I have to get them to school. I have to work. I have to pick them up. I have to get them home. I have to make dinner. I have to work home. I have to. And then I almost died. And I almost didn't get to. So the mindset shift for me was I went from saying I have to I get to. Because I almost didn't get to. So instead of being like, it was like, you know what? Of all the billions of people on the planet, I get to be the one to pick up your dirty underwear off the floor. I get to do that. But that's true about a lot of things, even our jobs, right? That we don't have to go to work. Some of you are like, no, I do. But when you look at the statistics, and I know it's real because I Googled it. But one of the stats that I've come across more than once is that if you have a toothbrush, a personal toothbrush, and a light bulb, you are richer than the majority of the people in this world. Which means having a steady job that you not only love, but help make a difference in the community and other people's lives is, sorry, you don't have to go to work, yes. But what do you do about those other people? You know what I'm talking about? If they're in the room, don't make eye contact. Some people are annoyed. They really are. And I've done a lot of thinking about that, some unscientific research. And I thought about this. This is like a person that I enjoy, like a significant other, a friend, maybe a sibling. You know, they're not perfect, right? So I said they're about 87% positive, 13% annoying. And I'm really surprised I remember that because I failed math. And then I thought about the other person, and they are 98% annoying and 2% positive, and I did put that in graph form for you so you can see that. And I came to the unscientific conclusion that we hate this person. But I'm not allowed to say that because we're in a work environment, a positive environment. So excuse me, we have communication issues. And if you're in the room and you're like, I get along with everyone. And I want you to know that you're that person. You're that person. Yeah, we have people in our lives that are it can be a little challenging. Like I come from a large Italian family, and we love to get together over the holidays and play family games. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Our favorite game to play is the silent treatment game. They didn't do that. in my ex-husband's family, they do the elephant in the room game, and that's fun until you find out you're the elephant, then not as much. I am divorced twice. Yeah, why do it once when you can do many, right? I have rephrased it though into a positive. I'm like a Kardashian now. I've arrived. I have to label which ex-husband I'm talking about, and my beard has gotten miraculously huge in a very short amount of time, and I can prove it's not in one. So, yeah, but marriage and being with significant others can be hard. We did have communication issues. We would have conversations, and I felt like he just didn't know what I was saying. So here's an example of a conversation we might have. I'd be like, hey, do you want to go out to dinner tonight? And he would say, I don't care. Do you? That is not what I was asking. This is what I was asking. I noticed that for the last 3 weeks, you seem really just sitting on your phone a lot. Since I'm a people pleaser codependent, I think it's all about me. And I was just remembering last night in the shower that 3 years ago at your mother's house over the summer, you said we've been married 7 years, and that's a long time. And it's been 3 more, so now it's been 10. I'm sorry you're stuck with me. I'm sorry you didn't get to marry Becky. And for the 1000th time, the knives go downward in the dishwasher. I'm not anymore. That's what I was asking. Men, right, ladies? Yeah, and I'm not on the dating apps. I'm not. Because I don't want to say, like on the dating apps. I feel like it's a weird beauty pageant. I can't win. I'd be like, hi, my name is Stacy. I hail from the great state of Colorado. I'm divorced twice, have a plethora of children, and a history of mental health problems. I enjoy long bouts of crying alone on the beach. I'm super outdoorsy as long as the weather is between 68 and 72 degrees. And for my special time, so I don't. But sometimes being around other people is hard, right? And here's something that I've really thought about. A lot of times the people that we're frustrated with, we expect them to act, think, feel, believe, behave exactly as we do because we're right. And if you don't believe me, I can just throw a couple of words out and I will lose the room. I can say politics, religion, driving, right? And people are always like, yeah, because we think everybody should be like us. And so we have these unmet expectations and we don't embrace people for who they are and where they are at. And that causes us angst, right? When we're trying to control how other people live and who they are. And this is what I've learned is that as human beings, we all want to be seen, known, and loved as who we truly are, not who you or anybody else or the world thinks we should be. Because you were created unique. There's no one like you with your story and your gifting and what you have to offer this world and the way you go about it. And the same is true for every person placed in front of you, for everyone in this room. So there is a gift in accepting and being kind and being open to people's different ways of how they approach life. So that is some relationship advice. Okay, number 2. How am I on time? Oh,
Not yet.
okay. I gotta pick this up a notch, y'all. Okay, the second thing that people are that really helps your life is exercise. And I know you're into health, so y'all, you know that exercise is good for you. It releases all these positive endorphins. It rewires your brain, and that's good for all of you. I'm actually allergic to exercise, and I am because when I exercise, my heart starts to pound. I feel like I can't catch my breath. My face turns red. I break out in a sweat and things start hurting all over. And if you look up an allergic reaction on the internet, those are the exact symptoms. Exact. So I have my sister and my brother are both former Marines. And I don't know what happened to me. I didn't get the gene, middle child. And because of that, my sister's always like, Stacy, you gotta exercise. You could run like me, or you could do yoga. And I'm like, running or sitting on a mat breathing. Gee, which one I'm gonna pick? Yoga enthusiast in here? Woo! Yeah. They say that yoga is all about the breath. Would you agree with that slightly?
If it's mindful yoga.
It's mindful yoga. Okay. That ruins my joke. Well, some people say that yoga is all about the breath, which is so ironic. Because I've done yoga. And if you've ever done yoga, they never breathe. And it's an inhale. And I'm in the back. It is brutal. It is brutal. And just some of the name poses are weird too. Like one of them is called the downward facing dog. And I'm not gonna demonstrate it for you. Because if I'm being honest, I've gone through a lot of personal growth these last few years. Decided to be a larger presence in this world. I was in the bathroom and I admitted to them, I was like, sometimes going to the bathroom just isn't worth it when you're wearing Spanx. Am I right, ladies?
Yeah.
And I am stuck so tight in my Spanx right now. My stomach is like a Pillsbury biscuit can. Because the moment I go to take this dress off, it's just like that. Only lately, my stomach's taking on more of a crescent roll shape where it's folded over on top of itself and it has crispy things on the side. And this past 2 years, for the first time, I entered the world of back fat. And here's what I didn't know about back fat, is that you can suck that in. Like up here, I can kind of do this, but if I want to suck my back fat, I have to walk around like this. I do like to say, because it is true, it's not my fault. My metabolism left me for a younger woman. Okay. So downward facing dog. I know why they call it that. It's not what some of you are gonna think. But it's when you go down on all fours. And I've had all these children. So I have all this gelatinous material and it just falls forward in the breeze and it flaps in the wind. And it reminds me of the dog's head out the car window driving down the freeway. Like that is my stomach in the downward facing dog. And then I'll just take this too far. I see these young girls instructors on YouTube doing yoga, and I'm like, those aren't real. I mean, she's laying on her back, and there's no blood sliding to the armpits. Okay. At this point in my life, I can tell you that this is now the most flexible part of my body. And it's the only part that can bend down and take touch the. This is how I got myself to exercise. I had a friend and she got healthy and it was annoying. And so I asked her, I said, what happened? How come you went from unhealthy to healthy? And she said, well, I just realized I was never going to want to exercise. So I might as well do it anyway. And I thought that is the most brilliant negative motivation I have ever heard. So I went up the next morning, I tried it. I was like, I'm never going to want to exercise, so I might as well do it anyway. It worked so well, it started spilling over into other areas of my life. Like, I'm never going to want to be your friend, so I might as well do it anyway. Even my ex-husband, towards the end of our marriage, he started using it. We'd date night, we'd make a move, and I'd be like, well, you're never gonna want to, so. One takeaway for some of the men in the room, right? Yes. Okay, so the next thing, and I'm gonna skip through this one pretty quick, is sometimes life is such a mess that we don't even know where to start. And so here's what the science now shows about the brain, is that with motivation, there's no such thing. It's what it is the act of starting a task is what actually makes you get into it. So how many of you have ever procrastinated doing something that you did not want to do? Yeah. Like, sit here and listen. You did not want, right, and I did not want to prepare to talk. So we're in the same boat. No, one of them for me is laundry. I can wash, dry, fold all day long. But if you ask me to put it away, it will kill me. So what I do is I take my laundry out of the dryer and then I put it on the bed. And then I crawl in my bed and sleep under it like a weighted blanket. And then it falls all over the floor. So I pick it up and move it to the dresser, and then I move it to the chair, and then I just wash it again. Anyone? Feel me? Yeah. And then when I do take the 10 minutes it takes to put the laundry away, I'm like, why didn't I just do that in the first place? You know what I'm talking? Yes, because it's a big deal in your brain before you start something. It's the act of doing it. So, have you ever done a task that you put off and you thought that, and then you kept going? So, some of you procrastinating on the garage for 8, 10 years, right? And then you start, and it only takes a couple hours, and now you got the sledgehammer out, and you're bashing out kitchen counters, right? And remodeling the whole house because you started. So it will always be a big deal to your brain. You're never going to feel like changing your life. You're never going to feel like sitting down and buying domain name. You're never going to feel like wanting to do the things that it requires to be healthy. It's just the act of starting that can change your life. So the next one is embracing failure. And here's the thing with failure. You cannot live, you cannot grow, you cannot do anything without failing. How does a baby learn how to walk? They fall. They get up, they fall, they get up, they walk a little bit, they fall some more, they fall down, they fall. Then they start falling down less, they fall down occasionally, then you become an adult, you fall, on here and there. And then when you get older and you fall down and you break your hip and you die. That's usually how it works. But it is the act of failure. So this is my challenge to you. Would you be living the exact same life, making the exact same choices you are today if you were not afraid to fail? For most of us, the answer to that question is no. I would be doing more or different. And the act of learning to embrace that failure is a part of the process, and that it's okay to not be okay all the time is a part of growing. I'll go through really quick my story because most of you have heard it. Born in a one-room cabin, no running water and electricity. That is me with my dad reading Mother Earth News. They were hippies. I like to say I can grow tomatoes, grow potatoes, make soap. I am a real catch if it was 1867. None of it translated over in real life. Grew up very rural. I had a teacher who made a huge difference in my life and introduced me to the arts when I was 17 years old. And I ended up winning a full ride scholarship to study theater. And I had terrible stage fright. I do like to share this because I still have stage fright. Because some of you, if you weren't afraid of failing, you would be speaking or performing. And you're like, yeah, no, I could never do that because I'm afraid. And I like to say that there are those who are afraid so they don't. And there are those who are afraid and they do it anyway. I had such bad stage fright, I couldn't even look the other actors in the eye. But I just learned to embrace the discomfort, and I started doing very well. I started doing film and commercial and stage. Met my first husband. He got sick with a terminal illness. Went through that journey with him, which ended up in a divorce, unfortunately, but I had beautiful children through it. And it was at that time I got sick for the first time, and they thought it was from me stepping on a rusty nail. And it had healed fine. It was a tetanus, 3 weeks in the hospital. And I remember having a moment where I was like, I think I'm dying. And I was. I was in septic shock. And I had three thoughts. The first one was I was like, I had the regrets of relationships. That's what you always hear. I wish I had spent more time with the people I loved and valued the people that were in front of me. The second was I was like, what? You just work and you stress and you try really hard and then you just die? Like, what's that about God? Like, I was kind of mad at God. And the third thing was I realized I was such a people pleaser, trying to be somebody who I wasn't or ever intended to be, and not ruffle feathers and always do the right thing, that I never did what I was truly put on this earth to be. Now, I didn't die, obviously, because that would be really creepy for all of us right now. But when I left the hospital, I couldn't walk. And so really I felt in 3 weeks' time, I had lost my health. I ended up losing my job. And I'd lost my marriage. I lost my home. I lost my support system. And for the next several years, the infection kept coming back and they didn't know why they couldn't kill it. So I've had 7 PICC lines, 2 major surgeries. And it was 2 years ago, I found out that it was a misdiagnosis the entire time. The good news is that what I have is completely curable. The bad news is that what I have was completely curable, which means everything that I went through, I didn't have to. I did end up getting PTSD from almost dying so much and going through a dark time. What I have is something called brucellosis. So veterinarians, it can be common for veterinarians. It was from drinking raw goat's milk from growing up. And so I've had it for a long time. So last year, I had already done a year of antibiotic treatments. It came back. I went into septic shock, had surgery where they cut out all the infection out of this leg when I was supposed to be here. And I've been on another year of antibiotics, but this time I think it's the right one, and I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling good. So yeah, thank you. And so I've got one more slide and then I'll shut up. And a lot of times in life, we end up in places we never thought we'd be. We never thought we'd be. And what I want to encourage you again is that it's always okay to not be okay, because that is a part of life. You take the good and the bad, and it is a delicate balance of both that makes us good people, that makes us compassionate and empathetic and give us a sense of purpose. You cannot love without pain. You cannot give without loss, right? And if you think of the thing that has changed you and made you the best person, it's usually the hard things. So if you are struggling, I want you to know that I know when you're in the middle of it, if I was like, just be happy, you would punch me in the face, right? Nobody wants to hear that. It hurts. So embracing your pain and living through it and recognizing that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be angry or hurt or grieve. It's okay. It's a part of the process. But I promise you in the end, that will be the thing that will help you find your purpose. Which leads me to this last piece, is that, again, always reach out for help. Always. There's no shame. I got a lot of psychiatrists on my records, okay? From the PTSD and all that. I would not be here today if it was not for other people speaking life into me to help me take the next step. And I want to encourage you that the same is true for you, that you are the superhero, the superpower to somebody else and to all the people you're serving, whether that's in your home, whether that's with your job, whether that's in this room for the next 2 weeks or 2 days, or what you do every day in your community. You are to be someone's superhero. And it really goes down to this in my mind, is that kindness is the language of love. So live a good life. Be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself so that you can take others and go make a difference in this world because you can do what nobody else on this planet can do. So thank you so much for having me back in person and for giving me this gift, almost of, I don't want to say reconciliation, but just to the fact that I'm back 1 year later made the journey of this past year worth it. So you are a gift to me and I thank you.